That hurts after a while. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to review a recent movie from this year, 2022. I think this year I've seen more, new movies than I have in the past several years because I'm basically signing up for all these for limited time on all these streaming services. I took advantage of the Black Friday sale on Paramount Plus and signed up for a year for $2 a month on Paramount Plus. I'm interested about a lot of things on Paramount Plus. Star Trek Discovery, two episodes into that. That's not so great so far, but I was interested in that and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I did an episode of that, and that's more promising. But I'm interested in a little bit of stuff on Paramount Plus, so I figured $2 a month for a year I can sign up for that. But I was able to actually see the movie that I'm reviewing on that streaming service, and a movie that's relatively still new on that streaming service by the name of Smile. I'm coming at you to review Smile, as you know, and just like with the movie that I recently reviewed by the name of Barbarian, the trailer for Barbarian and the trailer for Smile were promising. I think I will probably like the trailer for Barbarian more, but as you know, if you watch my review of it, not too keen on the movie. It turns out I'd like Smile more than the film Barbarian, although it's still not a movie that's really very much up my alley because it does, I don't know if it's based on something from like Asian Japanese horror or not. I'm like the furthest from a fan of being a fan of like Asian horror. All those stuff that's based on, that The Grudge is based on and The Ring and stuff like that. Like the Japanese horror stuff to me is just so uninteresting to me. I'll take Japanese monster movies any day and like Hong Kong action films and stuff, but when it comes to like Japanese horror, you can forget about it. So, this movie, I don't know if it's based on a Japanese horror property or if it just, comes across as being something that very well could be something like Japanese horror. Regardless, for me, it has that Japanese horror feel to it. And the reason that this movie, in my opinion, is better than Barbarian is because it's kind of competent, in my opinion, all the way through. Like Barbarian, the first, 30 minutes or first half of that is good. And then for me, the last half just, it's just like, give me a break. But at least this one, I would say it not only is competent all the way through, but it kind of just builds and builds and builds to whatever the exciting climax or whatever the hell you want to call it. So the premise of this, if you don't know, is it's very similar to what the hell movie does this? Oh, like this movie is very similar to It Follows in a lot of ways, where the premise is very simple, where this one woman, I didn't really like the main star of this movie. She's too thin and she wears them pants that go up too high and are too short. It's just the trend now. I've bitched about it with my review of Barbarian as well. That look is so stupid to me. It just makes women look like clowns, but whatever. I don't really like the main woman in this movie, but I will say, even though I don't like her as a character or necessarily as a performer, what she did, like if there were horror movie like Academy Awards or something, like if I gave a shit about awards, which I don't in movies, or I don't care about or any kind of award, but if I did, and if I put stock in stuff like that, or maybe like, for the Oscars, a horror movie category for Best Actress, I mean, she did a great job, just, throughout the course of this movie, just being mentally just unhinged and just deranged. I mean, she actually, she spends so much of this movie just unhinged and deranged that it actually almost has an effect on the viewer. Like, Jesus Christ, I like to, consider myself a more or less mentally with it as much as possible kind of individual, and this movie almost unhinges the viewer. But the premise of this movie is very simple. This woman's like a shrink for this, a psychiatrist or something for people in mental need or whatever, and some girl ends up, this woman's obsessed about what she does or whatever, and I don't know, just if she's leaving for the day and her phone rings and she's still within earshot of the phone, she'll go back in the office and pick it up and keep working or whatever. And so what ends up happening is she ends up getting, talking with this one woman, this one younger girl, and she ends up saying like, oh, that there's this thing following me or whatever, and it's like I'm gonna die or whatever. And obviously the shrink woman thinks she's just nuts because that's the people she deals with, and the girl's like, oh my God, it's right there, you can't see it, and nothing's there. And then I think the shrink woman gets distracted or makes a call or something, and then when she turns her attention back to this girl, it's just like just like the smile. And what ends up happening is the smile is like well, the smile comes before the individual. I think the person's really not killing themselves. I think what happens is the whatever entity, it is kind of like It Follows in a different way. But the entity that's like after something actually goes inside and, you know, kind of kills, you know, so that makes them kill themselves. But we don't find that out until like the end of the movie or whatever. But yeah, so throughout the course of the movie, you don't necessarily know what's happening, but you do know as it goes on, like when the smile is there, that means this person's basically going to kill themselves pretty soon, and this woman, this young girl, ends up just like slitting her throat right there and drops dead and stuff like that. So, and what ends up happening as this woman, this psychiatrist woman, looks further into what's going on is she finds out that the girl who killed herself in her office had recently seen someone kill themselves. So what she ends up discovering is it's just been this, she traces it further and further and further back, just this pattern of people seeing themselves kill themselves, or seeing people kill themselves, if the witness of someone seeing themselves kill themselves, and then like within a week or two or something, maybe it's a week or two, I can't remember, but a certain amount of time, we'll just say week for the purposes of this review, within a week or sometimes, you know, 4 days, I think 4. So I think a lot of people die within maybe 4 days or a week tops or kill themselves. So obviously this woman, you saw this person kill themselves, so now she's a part of the you know, the whatever. So she starts seeing things, and it's very much like it, you know, It Follows. The more I think about it, and kind of almost a remake, really, of It Follows, if you've seen It Follows. I've seen it, but I don't think I've reviewed it. I don't think I'm interested enough in it to review. I'm pretty much reviewing it now for all, you know, all intents purposes. But the thing that I definitely like more about this than Barbarian is just like it's interesting to go on this journey with her and find out along with her the history of how far back this goes, and also she finds out something else, another detail about, which is kind of ups the ante, which reminds me of another movie I think as well, where, you know, one guy who's in prison actually escaped the curse and didn't end up killing himself, and she's like, how did he do that? Well, he killed someone. So it's like, if you don't kill someone and have a witness, you know, to pass it on to, see, it's very much like with something like that is the same thing with It Follows. I think you gotta kill someone, or I can't remember the details of that, but it's very similar. So then this woman's like, okay, well, then she, throughout the course of the movie, towards the last half of it, you don't know if she's going to kill someone or not. And then at the end, she's like, oh, well, if I go somewhere where no one else is, and no one witnesses, there's no one there to witness me kill myself, then the thing won't make me kill myself, because there's no one there to witness it and pass it on. So the one thing I will say about this movie is the very, very end at her old, you know, family house where they grew up or whatever. It reminded me of the most recent Blair Witch movie from 2016 with the long legs. There's this creepy ass like woman character that's like really, I think that's probably just a real tall woman or something, maybe visual effects, I don't know, but I can't remember what the hell part that woman plays in, you know, or where she come from, or if she's just a dysmorphid, you know, a morphed, you know, just stretched version of her mom. This main character has a history with, you know, her mom was in a bad mental state, and she saw her mom die, you know, in the house or whatever. Her mom was, whatever, a drunk or a drug addict or whatever. She saw her mom die. So I don't know if this apparition, this long-armed, long-legged apparition was just you know, a different creepy version of her mom. The same thing with Barbarian, with the tall, lanky, scary woman. I don't know if that's just a trend now going on or whatever, but yeah, I mean, the thing about this movie, it's definitely more of a psychological horror movie, because I mean, there's, you know, I grew up in the era of like Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, Pinhead, Chucky, where you've got a physical, and that's what I'm most into, you know, a physical character where you can make action figures out of and all this and that. Like, the thing that I'm not crazy about these movies is it's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess you could make figures of the people smiling, but I mean, that's just so boring. Like, one of my complaints with a movie like this, and, you know, granted, not everything has to be like what it was when I grew up in the 80s and stuff, but, you know, my problem with a horror movie like this is, I mean, you've got it's kind of like the Final Destination movies as well. I mean, you could make dioramas of the people's, death scenes or whatever, but I mean, you've got no, and I guess you could call it, part creative and part different from the old days of the 70s and 80s when you've got physical, maniacal, killers running around. Michael Myers, how can I leave him out? But, this movie, it's just like you've got nothing visual to connect to the evil except for just people smiling. And I guess you could make a figure, not that anyone would want it, of that lanky woman at the end of the movie or whatever with the creepy, unwashed hair and smile, scary face or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, that's why I say that this movie, reminds me of just Japanese horror, Asian horror, whatever, and in those regards, I'm not big on it. Oh, before I end the review, I can't forget to mention that one of the things that's the coolest and the creepiest about this movie is the music. Is really, really just unnerving and really, really perfect for this movie. And it's just like, it's kind of like, The Shining, if you've seen The Shining, but it's even more creepy because now we have all of the digital music resources at our fingertips. But the music, or I don't know if you can really even call it music, what would pass for music or just music, tonalities or whatever the hell you want to call it, we'll just call it the music in this movie, perfectly matches the movie and is really, really genuinely creepy. And one thing I want to say that I think is kind of stupid that I'm seeing a lot now also is this like upside down helicopter drone footage of just, environments. Like it seems like I'm seeing that a lot, like with the most recent Candyman. And I don't know, this is like a fad that's caught on, which is just like, okay, you see it. It was also in something else I saw, the one I'm going to review at some point. I actually want to watch it again. The werewolf movie from 2020. The title's from Wolf at Snow Hollow, whatever. Same thing with like the opening credits, like upside down, just helicopter shots of just whatever, just vistas and stuff. It's like I don't know what's the deal with all of the upside down shots, like whatever. There's even other movies I think recently that I've seen upside down, either drone or helicopter shots, and it's just like I guess once something catches on, everyone feels like they have to do it. But I guess that'll be pretty much, without spoiling the whole damn thing, my review of Smile. It was kind of as good as I expected or thought or hoped it would be. Not something I probably never need to own. I've been watching so much of this stuff on streaming lately, and with the exception of the movie that I will actually stop on by to review one of these days, Uncut Gems, which is something that I saw on Peacock, with the exception of that, which I ended up getting on Criterion Blu-ray, like everything else, all the other movies, with the exception of like A Christmas Story Christmas, like I never really have the desire to like own it on Blu-ray or anything like that. So it is kind of cool to have, been doing this like free streaming, or not free, but almost free, relatively, $2 a month for limited time kind of trial of these streaming sites is fun, because a lot of the stuff that I've been watching is like, well, I was, part of me was almost going to blind buy. What the hell was it I was going to blind buy? Oh, Matrix 4. I don't know if I'm even going to bother doing a Matrix 4 review, because I don't think I've ever reviewed, I can't remember if the first three have ever been reviewed on this channel or not. It'd be stupid to review the fourth one without doing the first three, but I guess I could do the first three first. But anyway, a Matrix is another one that I was just kind of like gonna blind buy, but then decided not to, and I'm glad I did. I'd probably buy the Blu-ray Matrix for $5 or under, or some Matrix 4 for $5 or less at some point, like if I can find it used at half price for $3, the Blu-ray Matrix 4. It's not horrible, but it's just not, let's face it, it's not necessary. But anyway, another movie that, I was glad I was able to just kind of just stream and not bother, I wasn't going to blind buy this one. It seems there was another movie that I was going to blind buy, and I can't remember what it was that I think I've recently watched on a streaming. It doesn't matter. I'm here to talk about Smile. My star rating for Smile, probably 2 stars out of 4 stars. As much as I do think it's really creepy and finding out all this information, going on the journey with her to try to find out the information about what's happening to her, and try to alleviate, try to make it so she doesn't end up killing herself, or trying to find out she doesn't end up the same way everyone else does. and kill someone and pass it along. Seeing that and just seeing how well this actress just goes just so freaking unhinged throughout the course of the movie is impressive. And just like with Barbarian, I do feel like I do like the visual style and just the way this movie is shot. You know, I'm not so crazy about the upside down drone, helicopter footage. Not crazy about that, but in general, some of these movies like Barbarian and this film and stuff are shot and cut in a way that's really pretty cool compared to, like, I don't know, for a while there was so much shaky cam, and like people don't seem to be so hesitant to just have a static shot and stuff like these days. And I'm more of a fan of static shots, or just I'm not a fan of like frickin' shaky cam and stuff. So I guess that'll pretty much do it for my review of Smile. More or less what I expected, unlike Barbarian, which was a complete letdown. When the trailer made Barbarian look like it could be like really great, and of course the movie couldn't live up to, in my opinion, what the trailer said, had to say or whatever. But this movie pretty much lived up to what the trailer indicated it would be. So I guess that pretty much does it for my review of Smile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so very much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.